Welcome everyone to a brand new episode of Success EQ. We're absolutely thrilled to have you here, and we've got an exciting and informative show lined up for you today. Get ready for a deep dive with some fantastic guests and thought-provoking discussions.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're diving into the sometimes murky waters of quarterly business reviews. You know, those critical moments in B2B relationships.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
let's face it, QBRs don't exactly have a reputation for being the most...
Thrilling events.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not really a page-turner. But we're on a mission to change that, to help you transform your QBRs from, those data dumps to experiences that are insightful and engaging for your clients. And we've got some ammunition for you. We've looked at expert opinions, gotten advice from customer success managers who really figured it out, and even found a company that completely ditched the traditional QBR and replaced it with something way more valuable.
Ooh, interesting.
So let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
Okay, first things first. Even the name quarterly business review, it doesn't exactly make you want to...
It's not exciting.
No.
No, you're right. It's a bit of a snooze fest. And it sets the wrong tone right from the start. It makes you think of like one-sided reports and endless slides, death by PowerPoint.
So what if instead of quarterly business review, we called it something else? Like a partnership development workshop.
Ooh, I like that.
Or maybe a strategic growth session.
Yeah, those sound so much more collaborative and engaging.
Right.
It's like you're inviting the client to be a part of the process from the beginning. Instead of just reviewing what's happened in the past, you're working together to plan for the future.
Exactly. And that shift in perspective is so important because, one of the biggest mistakes I see is companies just getting lost in the data. They focus on all these internal metrics that their client frankly doesn't care about.
Oh, for sure. I've seen that happen too.
Like they'll go on and on about product roadmaps or support ticket resolution times.
Yeah.
But they forget to focus on what really matters to the client, the value that they've delivered.
Exactly. You have to show the client how you've impacted their business. What tangible results have you helped them achieve? That's the information that they want.
And I was reading this one expert suggested starting the QBR with a highlight reel.
Ooh, a highlight reel.
I know. Imagine a quick recap of all the client's successes.
I love that.
Celebrating those wins.
Yeah.
And recognizing the key people who made it happen.
Yeah. It's such a good way to set a positive tone from the start and to show the client that you really understand what's important to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it helps build that sense of shared accomplishment, which makes the rest of the conversation so much more productive.
Absolutely.
Now, you can't totally ignore the data, of course.
Of course not.
But it needs to tell a story. One seasoned customer success manager suggested this exercise. Imagine you only had 10 minutes for the QBR.
Okay, 10 minutes.
What's the most compelling story you could tell with the data?
That's a great exercise. It forces you to cut through all the noise and figure out what really matters to the client.
Exactly. Instead of just throwing a bunch of charts and graphs at them, you're guiding them through a narrative and showing how the data connects to their goals and their ROI.
Right.
And speaking of connecting data to goals, we came across this interesting concept called the X-score.
The X-score. What's that?
It's a metric that basically tracks the customer's effectiveness in using your product or achieving their goals. It's almost like a personalized success score for them.
So like a benchmark.
Exactly. It gives them a tangible way to see where they stand, how they compare to others, and what they can do to get even more value out of your partnership.
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And, it changes the whole conversation. Instead of it being like, here's what you could be doing better, it's more like, here's where you are, here's how you stack up, and here's a clear path to improve.
I like that much better.
Right. And what's even more interesting is that some companies are taking this idea of customer centricity even further. They're moving beyond the traditional QBR format altogether, like this one billing software company we found called Zorro. They actually got rid of the standard quarterly review and replaced it with what they call optimization workshops.
Optimization workshops. That sounds kind of interesting. Tell me more.
So instead of having those routine quarterly check-ins, these workshops are triggered by specific customer needs or challenges. It's a more proactive approach where they reach out to the client when they see an opportunity for improvement or when the client says, hey, we're hitting this roadblock.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like having a consultant on call,
Yeah.
ready to jump in and help when you need them.
Exactly. And what's really cool is that these workshops are all based on what Zorro calls the 9 keys for subscription success. It's a model they created based on a ton of customer research and industry best practices.
Oh, so it's not just about addressing those immediate problems. It's about helping the client achieve long-term success using this proven framework.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, we're not just here to sell you software. We're here to help you succeed in your business.
Now, that's a powerful message. And it kind of highlights something really important, regardless of whether you stick with those traditional QBRs or you try something different. Like Zorro's workshops, the key to success is engagement. Oh, absolutely. You could have the most amazing insights, the best data, but if you can't deliver it in a way that resonates with the client and keeps them actively involved,
Right.
you've missed the mark.
It's like a presentation with a great storyline, but the delivery is totally flat. It's just not going to land.
Exactly. And whether your QBR is in person or virtual, you need to keep that energy up. Vary your pace. Use visuals. Encourage participation. And don't be afraid to go off script if the conversation takes an interesting turn.
Well, for sure. And preparation is key, too. Some experts suggest sending the QBR materials like a week in advance so the client can come prepared with questions and their own insights.
That's such a good idea.
It means you can spend less time going over the basics and more time on that strategic discussion and collaborative problem solving.
I love that. It turns the whole QBR into a real dialogue, a back and forth exchange instead of just a one-sided presentation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to the core of what we've been talking about. The most successful QBRs are the ones that spark a conversation that continues beyond the meeting itself. It's not just about checking a box
Right.
or going through the motions.
Absolutely not.
It's about building a stronger, more collaborative relationship with your client.
Exactly. And it's about asking those key questions that keep the conversation going.
Like what?
Like, what are the client's top priorities for the next quarter? What challenges are they facing? And how can you work together to achieve their goals and overcome those obstacles? It's about taking the QBR and turning it from a backward-looking review into a forward-thinking strategy session.
I like that. Precisely. And when you approach it that way, you're not just delivering a report, you're delivering real value.
Yeah.
You're showing the client that you're a true partner invested in their success. So for everyone out there getting ready for their next QBR, I hope this deep dive has given you something to think about.
I hope so too. Remember, QBRs can be so much more than just a routine check-in. They can be a powerful way to build relationships, drive growth, and help your clients reach their goals. And if you can make them a little less boring and a little more brilliant in the process, well,
Everybody wins.
everybody wins. That's right. The best QBRs are the ones that leave both you and your client feeling energized and excited about what you can accomplish together. So before your next QBR, ask yourself, what kind of experience do I want my client to have? How can I make this a really valuable and engaging session that helps us work towards success? Keep those questions in mind, and you'll be well on your way to transforming your QBRs from dreaded obligations to powerful opportunities.
That's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive into a topic that matters to you.
See ya. It takes the focus off of, what they're doing wrong and puts it on, where they are, how they compare to others, and what they can do to improve.
Exactly. And you know what's even cooler? Some companies are taking this customer centricity even further. They're like ditching the whole traditional QBR format. We found this really interesting example, this company called Zorro. They make billing software. And they decided to get rid of the standard quarterly review and do something they call optimization workshops.
Optimization workshops. That sounds kind of cool. What are those?
So instead of those like routine quarterly check-ins, these workshops happen when a customer needs something or is facing a challenge. It's more proactive. They reach out to the client when they see a chance to help them improve, or when the client reaches out and says, hey, we're struggling with this.
That makes sense. Like having a consultant on call ready to help whenever you need them.
Yeah. And get this, these workshops were all based on Zorro's 9 keys for subscription success. This model they built from tons of customer research and best practices.
So it's not just about solving that one problem. It's about helping the client succeed in the long run using a model that's been proven to work.
Exactly. It's like they're saying, look, we're not just here to sell you software. We're here to help you build a successful business.
Now that's a message that resonates. And it highlights something really important. No matter if you stick with the traditional QBRs or try something new like Zorro's workshops, the key is engagement.
You're telling me you can have the best data, the most amazing insights, but if you can't present it in a way that really connects with your client and keeps them involved,
Yeah, right. Then it's all for nothing.
it's like a presentation with a killer story, but delivered in a monotone voice.
Yeah,
It just falls flat.
totally. And whether your QBR is in person or virtual, you've got to keep the energy up. Change your pace, use visuals, encourage participation, and be ready to go off script if things get interesting. And don't forget preparation. Some experts recommend sending the QBR materials to the client a week beforehand so they can come prepared with questions and their own thoughts.
That's smart.
That way you can skip the basic stuff and jump right into the strategic discussion and collaborative problem solving.
I love it. It turns the QBR into a real conversation.
Yeah.
A back and forth instead of just a presentation.
Exactly. And that brings us right back to what we've been talking about. The best QBRs are the ones that start a conversation that keeps going even after the meeting is over.
It's not about checking off a box.
Nope.
It's about building a real partnership with your client.
Exactly. It's about asking those questions that keep the conversation flowing.
Like what kind of questions?
Like, what are the client's biggest priorities for the next quarter? What challenges are they up against? And how can you work together to reach their goals and tackle those challenges? It's about shifting the QBR from looking at the past to planning for the future.
I like that. It's about making it a strategy session. And when you do that, you're not just giving them a report, you're giving them real value. You're showing them that you're a partner who's invested in their success. So for everyone getting ready for their next QBR, I hope this deep dive has given you some new ideas.
Me too. And if you can make those QBRs a little less like a chore and a little more exciting, well,
Everyone's happy.
everyone wins, right? The best QBRs are the ones that make both you and the client feel energized and excited about what you can do together. So think about this before your next one. What kind of experience do you want your client to have? How can you make it valuable and engaging and set yourselves up for success?
Good questions.
If you keep those in mind, you'll be on your way to turning those QBRs from something you dread into a powerful opportunity.
That wraps up this episode of The Deep Dive.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll catch you next time for another deep dive into something you care about.
And that's a wrap for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed our conversation and found it as enlightening as we did. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Your feedback is invaluable to us. Remember, you can catch all our episodes on your favorite podcast platform, so be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more engaging content. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world of revenue retention and expansion from your existing customers.